Good evening and welcome to The Script. I'm your host, Isaac Paul, and we're going to get right into it. For those of you all that don't know already, The Script is the digital counterpart of the Tequila Tales. Now, what is the Tequila Tales? The Tequila Tales is a fully engaging and highly interactive discussion on love and relationships. What it is not is a panel discussion, and I'm always certain to say that because while I absolutely give no shade to panels, you really got to understand that the difference between a panel and what we do is with the panel, you're going and you're hearing experts or you're hearing other people's opinions. With the Tequila Tales, our motto is with love, we all have a story to tell. And so my goal is to get those authentic stories out of the very attendees that come to the show. With this particular show, this is our Christmas Eve special. So Merry Christmas, right? And Happy Kwanzaa, as well as Hanukkah, all of that stuff is going on today. But I have a very, very special guest who is my lovely co-host of the Tequila Tales. She has been with us since the ground level. She is an incredible friend, and she just happens to be the mother of my children, right? So I'm going to introduce, without further ado, Casey Alana. Casey, how's it going? How are you doing today?
It's good. I love that I'm a baby mama and I'm not your wife.
You are a baby mama. You are the mother of my children. Okay.
There's only one that I've counted.
But yes.
Great to be
so yeah, absolutely. So we're doing something a little different today. So first and foremost, you might not realize it as of this point, but this show is pre-recorded, right? Because as of this point right now, we are probably either on our way to a Christmas party or we are already at the Christmas party getting a little lit, right? So I have made it, my business to, be present every week. And so just because it's a holiday, I ain't taking no time off, right? The devil don't sleep.
No,
so why should I? Okay. The devil don't sleep. Why am I going to sleep? So I figured, no, I'm going to go ahead and pre-record this. And my lovely wife / baby mama was like, oh, okay, man, you're going to have me on as a guest? And I laughed when she said that. But I was like, you know what? I actually have not had you on in a while. And the last time that we had a show, I heard pretty good feedback from it. So I said, hey, listen, not only will I have you on, but I'm gonna let you run point on a level, right? Like in terms of like with the material. So when we used to do our podcast, which by the way, those podcast episodes age wonderfully, right? I just happened to be listening to one the other day, and not to circle jerk, our own selves or whatever, but I'll be honest, right now, I'm gonna tell you the only reason that I was listening to it. Facebook and a lot of these programs now, they've gotten a lot better with like copyright claims, right? So anytime that you use a song or anything, Facebook is one of the biggest ones where they will identify that you've used some copyright material and they'll flag it. Now, it used to be where they would take it down, but now that they're in the monetization game, they'll just let you know you're sharing monetization with X, Y, and Z, right? Doesn't really matter because it ain't like a whole lot of our content gets monetized. A little bit of it, but damn sure not the podcast, right?
No.
It was not. But I started seeing all of these claims from like videos that got posted like 4 or 5 years ago. And so I was like, what the hell is this? And so it happened to be one of the podcasts that we had done called Hell Hath No Fury. And so I was like, I really got to see what is it that they're talking about. Well, right when we would go into the podcast, I would always use an instrumental of like a classic golden era hip hop song, right? So all of these old podcasts are being flagged. And I just happened to get up early one morning and was like, man, let me just go ahead and push play.
You want to hear your voice?
Not hear my voice, but just to see how well it aged, right? Turns out ages like fine wine, okay? Dead ass. Like if you think I'm playing, go to our podcast, look up Hell Hath No Fury. I'm telling you, it's solid. Like dead ass. I almost want to pull. The only reason I don't want to pull some of that shit up is because we might get canceled. Because I was saying some reckless shit, like out the gates. I was saying something about Mexicans.
Canceled though anymore? Like we always say we're gonna do it, and then that person either has a very specific following, or they just kind of go off into the abyss and they come back, or Like, I thought Kanye was canceled. Like, literally all the reasons we used to cancel Kanye, no one talks about him anymore.
Okay, that's a good
because
point.
He hasn't been in the news, but still.
Okay, so that's a good point. Because I don't think that being canceled is the same. Okay, I'm gonna tell you my concern. My concern is to get on, like fully on for the wrong reasons, right? Like it's one thing if you're already on and people love you,
Sure.
and they're listening to your shit and they're just like, oh, that's just them joking, yada yada yada. But it'd be one thing if it's like you kind of weren't on everybody's radar, then all of a sudden somebody listens to something reckless I said, then they decide to share that, and then that's the time I go viral, right? That's the time that everybody knows that Isaac Paul exists. That's who I am, the dude that was talking about Mexicans wearing wedge heels, right? Like, hey, it was reckless, y'all. It was some reckless shit I said, but I don't like wedge heels, and that was something that I had. Was like, yeah, I see you. And when I think about it now, I'm like, damn, that sounds very, tone deaf. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I could get away with that. So I'm just saying it to say that you might hear some questionable things, and
Didn't age well.
But it's probably still hilarious, right? Like I think it's still hilarious, but you just got to know we were drinking, and I wasn't as evolved, right? Like my team had worked on me throughout the years, from the very first podcast when y'all was browbeating me because I didn't understand the slut walk, but nonetheless,
that didn't age well.
that did not age well. Clearly not, because y'all was the one that was defending Amber Rose, and now she's damn near an enemy of the state.
But 180.
Yeah, so whatever. But that being said, though, back during our podcast days, Casey would run point on the podcast. She was the one that would find the topics and she would throw them out to us. And, we all had our own little segments and stuff, but she was the one that kind of curated the content, And so I said, you know what, let's go ahead and do a throwback. And plus it just made it a little bit easier on me. I have to do all the heavy lifting. So I really don't 100% know what it is that she has in store. But that being said, take it away. Man, you ain't got no notes in that, man?
No, I do, but I mean, okay, relax. I know what I'm doing.
Okay, shit. I mean, it felt like you just got it together.
The first question I wanted to know was, what was your favorite Christmas song? And why is it Let It Snow?
That's good. Now, okay, so when we say Christmas song, are we talking like, is this the same kind of argument like Christmas movies where people count and Die Hard because they just like, as long as the shit came out in December, it becomes a Christmas movie?
No, it's gotta be a legit Christmas song.
Okay, so meaning like I can name like a Brian McKnight song or something.
Although, do you know a Brian McKnight song?
Not a Christmas song, but actually he was in Let It Snow.
He was,
and it's funny you said that because damn near almost right. But if
I know.
But are we talking carols?
It could be either, because like some R&B songs became carols. They just got real sexy. So like,
right. That's a good question. To be honest with you, I've never really been much into Christmas carols, which is wild considering that my entire family would gather and sing carols every year. I'm talking like 30 people in the room. They didn't print it out. Pieces of paper, and we would do 12 days of Christmas, and in each section we would get in sections, and each one of us had what, you know what I mean?
Did they do it by like baritone and
no, man, we was reckless.
Okay.
But the only thing that was constant were there was a group of elder men, and they always got 5 golden rings. And they would grandstand. It would be kind of ridiculous, but it was so much fun. But if I had to pick, probably "Oh Holy Night."
That's my favorite Christmas song.
Yeah, but you said that, but it's been mine for a while though.
You said it like I just decided that this year. And that was your great grandmother's Christmas carol that she sang to you on her deathbed. Like that's the energy.
No. But I'm thinking as far as Christmas carols go, for that one. Okay, first off, it's not one that I would ever sing because this voice was made for talking, right? It was not made for singing. And that particular Why are you saying like I'm just around this motherfucker just singing like that all the time or whatever?
You're great.
But that particular song, you have to know how to blow in order to really sing it, because that fall on your knees.
That part.
Yeah, that's the part I like,
That's what we're all waiting for.
Right. And it normally is like a choir of some sort, and it just feels very like beautiful and haunting, but aside from that, I mean, Christmas carols are just like,
that ain't it for you.
Well, it's like a formality, right?
Well, like when you go into a department store, does it like get you in the mood?
No.
Okay.
No. But ironically enough, you saying the Let It Snow, that entire album actually was dope that they had done. That Christmas album, I was incredibly impressed with that. Not a fan of the Mariah Carey Christmas song
or album. Just
I'm talking about
for Christmas is you.
That one, right?
The theme of Christmas,
right. And not that it's bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They played it. But and I think that's what it is.
They play it at
night. And I mean, and I get it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I still love it. I am unapologetically a fan of that song.
Listen, I get it.
Yeah. No, but I just kind of wanted to get in the spirit a little bit.
Oh, gotcha.
And so kind of start off with that. But to your point, circling back really quick before we move on. When I first went to your family's Christmas caroling, Christmas morning event,
extravaganza.
It's been a while since we've been, so I couldn't remember some of the elements. But I remember thinking to myself, because in my head I was like, I think I'm going to be with this guy for a really long time. Did I just marry into like or did I just get into like a family that like runs marathons on holidays and shit? Like, you know how, you got to know what kind of family you're marrying into. And now I'm marrying into a family that sings Christmas carols to each other. So I thought I loved it. It was very wholesome, but I was also like, they're going to want me to sing and I'm not about that life.
Yeah. But like, what did you think when you actually heard how everybody's voices sound? I'm assuming that probably released any bit of anxiety or apprehension that you had, because it ain't like me in there blowing like at all.
It was not a Sister Act choir situation.
Not in the least bit. What's funny is and you know what, I might try to see if I can find because I might be able to actually integrate it in this video. That's one of the benefits of recording things, pre-recording it, is I might just give you all a quick little sample, quick little snippet. During 2020, when COVID hit, we decided that we would still attempt to do this via Zoom. It is the most chaotic and hilarious thing, at least to me. And the most hilarious part is that the entire time, my grandfather, right, who was at the crib by himself that particular day, like I was going to link up with him in a couple of hours. I was actually in the office, and he could not figure it out. So all you see is just him, like his face all up into the screen or whatever. And, he had 5 golden rings, right? And so everybody, there was a little bit of symmetry that was going on. And by the time he finally figured it out, we was like way away from 5 golden rings, right? So they might have totally laughed that they on like, 8 swans to swim, 8 geese. I can't remember which one. And then all of a sudden he's like, 5 golden rings. And everybody's just like, Granddad, Gabe. And the way he would cut in, and it was something about it that was just so hilarious, because you could see everybody in these squares losing it. And so then what we later found out was that he kind of knew that he was offbeat with it.
He just did it anyway to mess with you?
No, I think that by the time he figured it out, he realized that he had missed his part. So he figured he just gonna jump in. It's like, no, nigga, you've missed this. This ship has sailed. Like you are done. You know what I mean? But it tickles me, man. That's one of the things that I've always loved about the family is our willingness to be in over the top corny.
Very cute. Very Brady Bunch. But no, I am enjoying being married into it. Like I'm feeling very a part of the festivities now.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yes. Question though. So we went to a like a kickback pre-Christmas party this past weekend.
Okay.
And one of the topics that came up was that what we've been seeing a lot, initially some of the women thought it was more single people feeling not as Christmassy this year. Like it just doesn't feel like Christmas time or the holiday season or what have you. But I was reminding them that like in my timeline, it's married people, it's single people, it's people with kids. A lot of people are saying that. And so I was just curious about your take and if you feel like that it feels Christmassy, and if not, what do you think has shifted and when?
So I'm gonna take it from two different perspectives. One, we are currently in Phoenix, Arizona, and today it might have gotten up to about 77, I believe, or something like that.
Beautiful.
So that in and of itself, for the foreseeable future, is going to snatch the Christmas spirit from me in a way of coming up in Chicago where you see snow and, just everything about it felt very Christmas-like. And so I think I associate that. I mean, and even in like, when you watch Home Alone and all these like Christmas movies, there's always like snow. We associate Christmas with snow. And so being in a warmer climate, I think that in and of itself kind of shifts things for me on a personal level. But then also too, I think that the world has just gotten a lot dimmer, right? We're not as happy. We're not as willing to, like traditions don't mean what they once did, right? And like not even to get political, but to get political, like being presidential used to mean something, you know what I mean? Like it used to come with something, to be able to say that that office was up here and we all revered it regardless of what side of the fence that you were on, right? Like there was a degree of respect and honor that the person in the position was supposed to conduct themselves with in the way that you were supposed to revere them. Like you're not supposed to talk shit about your leader, right? But then you're also not used to your leader talking shit about everybody else, right? So it's like when that energy starts to permeate the way that everybody moves, and then you got social media and everything on social media is super mean-spirited nowadays. It's like it kind of just sucks the joy out of you a little bit, right? Like you don't get an opportunity to be blissfully ignorant as we once were. I think being so acutely aware of just like I said, like the energy being kind of dark and just shady nowadays, it has the potential of snatching you out of said holiday spirit. Now I know with us having a young child, he's not really at the age yet where he's aware of Christmas, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm probably still in that headspace a little bit. Now, I think that the moment that his awareness heightens to whereas Christmas means something to him, it'll start to mean something to me again. You know what I mean? Now, when, parents and stuff are in town or they come in town, like the festivities and spending time with close loved ones, I enjoy that, right? And like the party that we'll more than likely be at when this is airing, there's a lot of young kids there. And so I'm going to find myself probably snapping into that mode because I think that, and not that I'm jaded, but I feel like Christmas is for kids. Christmas is for kids, right? Like anything that we want, we can buy it. You know what I'm saying? Like Christmas growing up used to be about spending time with family, but it was also about them presents. Let's be clear. I could not sleep for damn near 48 hours leading into Christmas. Okay.
The reason for the season is Jesus.
No, it is not.
Don't do that.
It's not.
Yes.
Jesus ain't got nothing to do with Christmas. It's got to do with a white man coming down an imaginary fireplace and leaving you shit. Like, let's be honest, okay? I love the Lord as much as the next person, but even growing up, like Jesus had very little to do with the commoditization of, I don't even know if that's a real word, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. Commercialization. Thank you. Of Christmas, right? Like, I mean, it's always been about getting the gifts and the whole nine, and I had a family that made it about, family, and a little bit about, Jesus. But to be clear, as a third grader, I wasn't thinking about Christ. I was thinking about them gifts. Okay. And so the excitement of Christmas was about that period. I'm just keeping it a buck on some me level. So because of that,
it's supposed to be about Jesus. What it has become about is what you've mentioned.
Is it really supposed?
It is supposed to be about the birth of Jesus Christ. That is the point of Christmas. Yes.
Since we've been born, Casey, it's been about gifts.
We haven't been born that long.
But I'm saying no, in our lifetime. Been around for centuries. But I'm saying in our lifetime, it's been about so the commercialization has occurred well before we were born. I'm just keeping it a buck in terms of
just
what
because you were raised a heathen doesn't mean
no. I'm saying Easter is more about Christ than Christmas. Christmas is about gifts. They literally talk.
Christmas Day is.
What does a Christmas tree have to do with Jesus?
I can't answer.
You see what I'm saying? Like all of this stuff. Like, I mean, yeah, you might see like the manger and the nativity scene and stuff. Like, yeah, we be aware of that. But like as a kid, you was thinking about that old white man that was giving you gifts. Every Christmas movie got to do with Santa Claus. It's never been about Jesus.
Well, Saint Nicholas is a real person. I don't know enough about him to speak on.
Yeah, actually, I think he's not the best of characters.
Right. Like I think he's questionable.
Yeah. But I think he might have been like a murderer or something. I might have to Google that. Like, no, seriously. I think it's got like a dark past to it. I'm disappointed that you didn't notice. This is your show. Man. I don't know what kind of show you run. We were supposed to be talking about
Saint Nick. Is the problem?
You said what?
You crapping on Jesus on live TV.
Ain't nobody crapping on Jesus. I'm just being honest about what second grade year old me. I was excited about getting Contra. I was excited about getting the Power Glove in a Nintendo. That's what Christmas was about. It was about getting shit.
That day is representative of Jesus's birthday.
It's supposed to be.
That's what I'm saying. It's supposed to be that. I'm not saying that's what we've done to it, but that's what it's supposed to be.
Right. But I would guess that most people watching this, if you're being honest with yourselves, unless you grew up in a very like religious household where you guys really were like involved and stuff like that, I would like to believe that the spirit of Christ is what kind of permeated our enjoyment of Christmas. But just saying that, like, it wasn't like I didn't come from the family where we would go to church on Christmas morning. You see what I'm saying? So those two were never closely aligned. I knew what Christmas was about, but that wasn't my lived experience as to like what made it so exciting.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, so I say all of that to say that like the energy of like family and gift giving and the whole nine, a lot of that has kind of waned a little bit. And like I said, not only just because of like what's happened with the commercialization of the holiday, but then I think even just Amazon Prime, right? Like anything you want, you can get in an instant, right? Like it used to be where even getting gifts and you used to be a little more special because someone was somewhere that you didn't know about that bought something that you didn't know existed. And so it was always a surprise, right? We know about everything that exists right now because Instagram is going to put it right in front of us, right? So everything that you want, you have the capacity to not only get on your own, you can probably have it delivered to you within a couple of hours via drone within the next couple of years. You know what I mean? So it's like
they're doing it.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like so when people say like, yeah, I don't really feel like Christmas, is because we're thinking about what it used to feel like growing up, and every piece about it that made it special growing up is no longer special anymore. Because like I said, even giving gifts, like what can you give me that I could not have gone and gotten on my own? You know what I'm saying? So because of that, I think it's just a holiday where it's just like, all right,
think about that.
We kind of going through the motions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I be thinking.
You do.
Yeah.
that was a little bit of a depressing response because of where we're at in society. So I'm gonna lighten it real quick before we move into a different segment.
Okay. Merry Christmas, by the way.
Listen, I'm trying to save y'all from the darkness.
Right, I'm over here like the Grinch and shit.
Right.
The Isaac Paul who stole Christmas and shit. Like I'm not trying to be that way. And listen, if y'all feel okay, so FYI, even though I am not here, right? I'm gonna still be paying attention. And so as you all are commenting, I will be posting these comments, right? So feel free to engage. And if you disagree with what it is that I'm saying, listen, all right, I'm paying attention.
He ain't gonna do nothing.
No, I come back and do a special live. You know what I mean? Like dead
just
ass.
For you.
Just for you.
For the haters.
For the haters.
That is very Christ-like. Good job.
I'm gonna do a special live on Christmas Day for the goddamn haters. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, what you got?
Okay. So if you could gift your audience one piece of relationship advice for the holidays.
Oh, here you go.
What would it be? Something positive.
Girl, leave that nigga alone. Okay, no, let me stop. What'd you say? Some relationship advice?
Like maybe some optimism about this season. Like if people are either not feeling it or I don't know, lonely or just, kind of hoping for a Christmas miracle, any of those things. Let me come back to you. There is no way.
Well, okay. I mean, because obviously I could take this from a couple of different, directions. But I'm trying to think of like, I almost feel like I need something specific. Otherwise, I'm just going to give you like something that's completely like generic, like,
Okay.
Just be happy.
Yeah, no, that ain't it. How about people who are going home for the holidays, even if they live in the same town, but they're at their family's house and they are alone again, and when are you gonna get married, and they're just getting questions, they're aging, and it's feeling like I would just rather spend the holidays alone than deal with that. But if I have to, what can you give to them?
Again, man. So I'm gonna tell you what my mind is going, just even as you were asking that question. In terms of okay, so we'll say that this is a bit of advice, but I'll if I internalize it, then I can give you something that's probably a little bit more true, that may speak to someone, right? And it's something that I have to also remember constantly, like even on my current path, is that delay doesn't mean denial, right? And I got these words from Dr. Ivy Hilliard. Delay doesn't mean denial. And there are times in life where you're in search of something. It's something that you may have been incredibly diligent in your pursuit of. You've done the work. You've been investing of yourself. You've been investing of your time. You've been investing your capital. Blood, sweat, tears, all of that stuff. And there are times where it just really feels like, damn, when am I going to get my chance? When am I going to get my moment? When is the spotlight going to be put on me? When will I be recognized for just the effort that I've put in? And there are times where the path or the process can feel daunting, because we are people that look for feedback. You're doing something, you want to see the response to whatever it is that you're doing. You're looking for some indication of knowing that you are in fact on the right path. And there are times, man, where it don't matter how great you are, it's just legitimately not your time, right? Because a lot of people don't realize this, but your blessing is not only tied to a location, but it's actually tied to a specific time. It's like seed time and harvest. You're sowing a seed, you're watering it, but you don't determine when the increase comes. Like God determines when the increase comes. And in most cases, it's not something that you can see. And so that's where faith comes in, right? And I don't know what level of faith that you may have, but just know that delay doesn't mean denial, right? Just because something has been delayed, and it may feel like it's even being delayed, right? And it just might not be your timing, right? Like you may have wanted it now, but for whatever reason, now may not be the appropriate time for it to arrive, right? It doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It just means that just not yet, right? And it's one of those things where, even while dealing with the doubt, even while navigating your way through the frustration, you really do have to center yourself and just do the work. Just do the work. And that's where the faith comes in. Faith comes in you believing that it's going to happen, right? Maybe not even precisely how you've envisioned it, but just as good, if not better. You see what I'm saying? And so that becomes important for us to know, because there are times, man, where you're doing things and it's just like, and it's like almost like nobody's seeing it. You've got some business and you've been promoting it, and you're just waiting for someone, for your moment for recognition, right? You know you're talented. You've gotten feedback from your peers, you've gotten feedback from even the small customer base that you're working with, but you just haven't had your moment. And you might be even fighting to remain afloat on some level. Delay doesn't mean denial, right? And when it is your moment, rest assured, it will come, and it will come like a windfall, right? And then in that moment, a few things might occur. One, you might end up realizing that it was best that you did wait, because maybe there was something that just had not occurred yet, or something else that you cannot foresee is being set up for you, right? Or two, you could realize that the work that you've been putting in has been actually laying the foundation, right, for this other thing to occur. And then you're really glad that you've done this, because now you're in a position where you can maintain and you can keep the thing that you've been given. See, because a lot of times we want stuff prematurely and we may not actually be ready for it. We like to believe that we are ready for it, but a lot of times, sometimes getting it too soon is worse than not getting it at all, right? Because you get it too soon, if you are not in a position to maintain it, it can destroy you. There are some things that you want that you are not mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or even sometimes financially ready to endure, right? And so there are times where it's almost like going into the gym and seeing what the people that's been in there for years are lifting, and you try to sit down on the bench and slap it on the side because you got faith, right? It's like, dude, you will kill yourself if you accidentally get that bar off, the bench. It might strangle you. You see what I'm saying? And there are times where it's like, nah, you got to go through this process, because that process, while you do not see it, it very well may be strengthening you, right? It's hardening you in certain areas. It's making you more efficient in certain areas. It's making you see things differently, so that when that opportunity comes and it's your opportunity, rest assured, no one will be able to take it from you. And so, yeah, like, hopefully this is speaking to someone, and you are finding yourself in that particular position. And you know what it is, because it could be a business, it could be a relationship, it could be a myriad of different things, right? Just remember that delay does not mean denial. Just because it has not come yet. We're living in this quick world where we believe that everything is supposed to come instantaneous, right? Just because you made the post and it was good, you think it's supposed to go viral, right? Like, and because you've seen other people's posts go viral, it makes you even more anxious, because it's like, well, my stuff is just as good. And it may be, but it's still not your time, though, right? For whatever reason, it's not your time, and everything isn't meant to happen in an instant like that. We used to understand that, but we're being tricked into believing that just because we do it, that we're supposed to get the results immediately, right? And so sometimes, man, you're supposed to lay in the cut, right? Because what is for you, you will have. So yeah, so hopefully that spoke to someone, because like I said, it's the space that I perpetually live in. And sometimes what you also got to do, just a little clue, is learn how to celebrate your small wins, right? Learn how to enjoy your progress. Learn how to become your own cheerleader when other people are not cheering you on. Because honest to God, it ain't even about them anyway, right? Because you're the one that sees all the growth. And if you're not doing that, if you're not being your own cheerleader, then that's the first and the most major mistake that you are making. Because if you don't love what it is that you're doing, if you cannot fall in love with the process, right? And what do I mean by the process? In terms of you've been doing this thing for 4 or 5 years, go back and look at how it used to be when you were in stage 1. Look at how whatever it was you used to do looked in year 2, right? Recognize your growth, acknowledge that you are getting better, and celebrate that. Celebrate just the growth and have gratitude for even still being on the path, even still being alive and having the courage, right, and the strength to continue on. You see what I'm saying? Because that is where your strength lies, right? Not the fickle, emotions of the crowd, because they may love you tomorrow and then be at your neck 2 weeks later, right? So it's like, no, fall in love with the work on your own, right? And then, like I said, just bury your head and do the work with the understanding that when it's your time, man, it will come.
Yeah. No, that actually was a word, and it excuse me, it made me think about when I was in my early 20s. I grew up with this the concept of like, you need to be married by this time, you need to have kids by this time. Like there was always very laid out for young women, and I was very keyed into those dates. And so when my friends would get into relationships or get married, I felt a lot of envy for them. Like why isn't this happening for me? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride type energy. And as soon as I kind of accepted what you were saying, like, this is not my time, and I really started to cheer for those people, like those people in my life, like genuinely feeling happy for them, like putting myself in their position, like what kind of friend would I want in this moment when I'm experiencing it? And I became that friend. Like, I'm going to cheer the loudest for you. I'm going to be so excited, like genuinely excited for you. And almost as soon as that happened, it's like I flipped a switch and opportunities for me began to open up. I met you not long after, but also just like my circle of people around me. It was so positive. It was so, let me introduce you to this person. Like, it was just a different energy around me. So no, that was a really great point. So
okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm not the full Grinch. You know what I mean?
I mean,
a little bit.
Yeah, but also the Grinch was like legit at the end. So
Right.
So we're gonna let you wear that hat. So I wanted to dig in a little bit to a clip that I saw online. And because you're a man, I feel like you're uniquely qualified to speak to this.
Okay.
Because if you can't do anything, you can mansplain something.
Listen,
So that's
I
what
can
we
do. I
need
can do.
more
I can
of.
do. I can do more than mansplain. Okay. I can tell you about your life. Okay. Give you my opinion. Is that the clip that you?
So if
queued up?
we could watch this clip, I would
Okay.
like to hear your perspective.
All right. Well, let's see what we got here.
Women don't know how to have good conversations. I'm not trying to.
No, it's this is all fair. They don't ask follow-up questions.
Yeah, but they don't do that with each other. I feel like that's why men aren't good friends to each other, because they mostly talk and comment, but they don't prod and poke. And
my husband will be like, "Oh, they're moving to New Mexico." I'm like, "Why are they moving?" I don't know. I'm like,
I did like
a huge life change. Like, did you ask any follow-up?
Pisses me off. Like, literally, I was talking to somebody who was talking about like his friend's marriage just fell apart, and I was like, "Oh man, why was it like was it another woman? Was it?" He was like, "Oh, I didn't ask all that," but he was really sad, and I'm like, "What the fuck? You didn't ask anything. His marriage fell apart, and you didn't ask any questions. That's crazy." And I can't imagine that. Like, I would be at my friend's house, like, like the shoulder crying, like all those things.
I would have all the details.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you watch Love is Blind at all?
Girl, this is the last season I will ever watch again in my life. I'm sick.
I have a theory about Love is Blind. My theory is that men fall in love on this show so quickly because they're talking for the first time in their life and listening. And it's like, I feel so close to this person. I'm like, welcome to conversation.
But I'm like, men fall in love when they're just talking, and they think that it was the best conversation ever. They're like, "Oh man, it's so good talking to you because you didn't ask me any questions and you were just talking about yourself." That's what's crazy.
Why does it feel like we promoting another podcast?
That wasn't my goal.
Oh, okay.
That was on
even though I do rock with Issa though, so I will promote her all day long.
It wasn't. I don't think it was hers, but support Black women.
Mm-hmm. You know.
So,
whatever, you know.
Right. So with men and their friendships, do you feel like men know how to have genuine friendships?
Yeah. I think like overall, overall, I do understand the point that she's making. But I think some of us are better at it than others. But I think we have a different kind of friendship in many cases, right? Where I have noticed that sometimes men enjoy just being in the presence of other men. Like there's something about the collective energy that can be not necessarily nurturing, but I guess comforting on a level, right? Because of the fact that everybody is not very adept at expressing themselves emotionally. And so if you are the type of person that has a low EQ, just naturally, it's just the way that you were born, it was the way that you were raised, venturing into that realm can be discomforting for some people, right? Like it's a heavy lift for them, right? Because that's not their strong suit. Maybe they're good at, the X's and the O's at work and, business and real A-type personality. But then when it comes to being empathetic and, listening, things of that nature, that may not necessarily be a strong suit for them. And like, let's say they have a significant other that is pulling that out of them, right? There's only so much of that they can tolerate before it gets exhausting. And they need to retreat into either their man cave or to be in the company of other men where you can feel the camaraderie, but it doesn't feel as taxing emotionally, right?
But isn't being with your friends that time you're supposed to develop that kind of muscle?
Well, no, I think I think it depends. You know what I'm saying? Because, I think that sometimes what we have a tendency to do is we place weight over certain qualities than other qualities, right? Like because like I just said, with that particular man, he's working on that muscle with his wife, right? Or with his significant other. Mm-hmm. If that's not something that if he's not comfortable in that realm, that's exhausting for him. Mm-hmm. So I now need a break from this, right? Like it's cool to do that. And I want to become stronger in that area. But if I got to deal with an emotional wife and then go and deal with a bunch of emotional ass dudes, okay, I'm just ready to be alone. You know what I'm saying?
But you're using emotional ass dudes in a way that's like kind of sappy, as opposed to you guys just actually, like in her example, she said her guy said he was splitting up or divorcing his spouse, and she's like, oh man, did he say why? And he's like, oh, I didn't ask all that. And she's like, but he was but said how sad he was and didn't dig any further. And it's like, that is something emotional he's experiencing. And that particular man did not take that opportunity to try to, get to the root of what was going on and help his friend.
Well, because, okay, first off, how men sometimes operate is, you got to ask. You got to be very direct with people. And like I said, some people aren't attuned that way. So if they aren't attuned that way, then it's unrealistic to expect someone to do something or to be something that they are not, right? Mm-hmm. So if I know, like, for instance, if a person knows that they are not a therapist and you are going through some deep, dark shit, them attempting to play therapy role with you is probably going to do more damage than good, right? Like their pure presence is letting you know that they care. But nigga, you need to talk to a professional, right? Like if you break it down in front of me and I'm not equipped emotionally to shoulder that burden in an appropriate way, then I just kind of feel awkward because I kind of don't know what to do. The same way if I went into a mechanic shop I could be smart as hell in one area, but you like, hey, Ike, man, I need you to go and change them brakes. And I don't know how to change them brakes. I'm just sitting here like, well, I don't know what to do because I didn't go to school for this. You know what I'm saying? That's not my strong suit, right? And so I think that what men will do is that they will be around you because they do care, because they do like your presence. But if that's not an area that they feel equipped in, then, you know, it's like, well, if he didn't ask, I won't tell, right? And then it could, because also what I notice is that how we are with other people is kind of how we are with ourselves. You see what I'm saying? So meaning, you know, she was talking about how her husband didn't dig. Well, if she and her husband were ever going through some stuff, I don't think that the husband would go to his friends expecting them to be, you know, to purge him emotionally. He might be the stoic type that's just like, I deal with this shit on my own. I don't like to get all mushy with my friends like that. So it's like, if he's that type of person, to then expect for him to turn on a dime and to become like some soft, you know, empathetic dude, that's realistically not, it's just not who he is. And so, you know, that's why I was saying, when you talk like, do men know how to be friends? I'm like, yeah, but they typically are friends in the way that they like for people to be friends with them. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't like people up in your emotional type shit, then you're not going to go digging with them. And not because you don't care, but you consider that to be respect. Because I don't want people all up in my business. You know what I'm saying? Just like with me, I don't tell people what to do because I don't need nobody telling me what to do. Now, if you ask me for my advice, I got some advice for that ass, but I'm not going to just like arbitrarily be like, oh, let me get all up in your business and tell you what I think about your significant other. No, if you don't ask me what do I think about X, Y, and Z, I'm not giving my opinion because I know I don't care about your opinion about who I'm rocking with. You know what I'm saying? So typically we are with people, not only how we are with ourselves, but how we kind of want them to be with us.
Right. But one of the points she made in that clip was how on that show Love is Blind, they find that the men fall in love so fast because this is the first time they're like like having a conversation with a woman or whatever. That I don't remember the explanation, but whatever. Anyway, do you feel though that like sometimes it's unfair because like men will kind of use their woman, their significant other, as a dumping ground because they don't kind of spread the emotion around. Like, why do we have to take on all of your emotional baggage, but you don't ever give that to your guys? Like, why are you never sharing that?
Well, so that's a double-edged sword. That is a double-edged sword. And I'll say it this way, because for a lot of my male friends, I am that person. I am the person that they feel confident and comfortable with dumping. And I know I'm the only, as a matter of fact, I got a cousin that literally will call it a brain dump. And he will use me like I'm a damn therapist sometimes. And it can be exhausting, right? But I know what it is he knows that I'm the one male friend that can talk to him on that level. We ain't got to say Paul. We ain't got to become a pause fest, right? But he knows that emotionally and intellectually, I can tap into that space and add value to him, right? Most men are not like me. Most women don't have an EQ that I have, right? So that just happens to be a gift that I give to people, period. And I'm safe for men to be able to do that around. Here's the flip side of it. Most women are not comfortable with a man having women friends, right, outside of them. And typically women are the one that are more adept at that type of emotional exchange, right? So you're right. It may not be fair that a man is dumping on his significant other, but the only other people that he can dump on would be his work wife or his, female friends or his mom, right? And it always feels like anytime that a man seeks solace or comfort in anyone else outside of his significant other, like shit, we literally just posted a clip earlier today about a woman talking about being friends with her exes, and her exes significant others, her exes wives and stuff like that. And all I see in the comment section are dudes that have a problem with this, but so do women, right? And it's because of the way that, and this might be a black thing, more of a black thing than I think a white thing, because it feels like sometimes they have more a broader landscape of relationships than we give ourselves permission to have at times, right? Not necessarily better, but just a broader relationship. Like I said, like we caught in this pause thing half the time. So shit, even if a guy could get, emotional, we gonna pause our way through it to the point where we can't even actually get to the crux of what's bothering you. You know what I'm saying? The dude to be borderline suicidal before he can actually get to it because I got to pause 20 times when he's trying to tell me some shit. But anyway, I'm sorry. I get disgusted by that. But
it's so immature.
It's tiring, right? And it's exhausting because it goes into that space of what you're talking about, where it will cause, or it does cause, men to not feel comfortable confiding in one another because of this fear that me sharing emotion means that I'm gay, right? And it's like, I'm waiting for us to grow past that, because I'm seeing the pain and the hurt in men holding on to all of this baggage that they should be sharing with other men, right? Now, if we're going to go a little bit deeper, I know I'm kind of all over the place. Another element of this is how broken down our households are, right? Many men did not grow up with strong men in their house. So they have a hard time dealing with emotions and speaking to other men about emotions, right? Because it's like, maybe you grew up in a single parent household. So emotional exchange was a woman thing, that's what mom did. But then when you were encountering something, you didn't have the man that you can go to. You had to go to peers, or you had to go to niggas on the block, oh, okay, yeah, or your mom, right? So that once again reinforces that women are the one that I get to speak to my emotions about, because if there was a man that I should be able to talk to about this without fear of judgment, it would hopefully be your father, right? But because of either them not being present or sometimes having the kind of relationships where, it wasn't encouraged, yeah, man, we lock that shit up, right? And so women become the only ones that we feel comfortable exchanging that with. But then again, because a lot of times emotional exchange is kind of goes hand in hand with sex and sex energy, men feel repressed. And the only people that we can share this with typically is our significant other. Meanwhile, women, you all can not only share with your husbands or boyfriends or significant others, you can also share with all your girlfriends, like man, your mom, like you all have this full, like, just community of voices. Yeah, this full ecosystem of individuals that you can share with. And so as a result, you're not shouldering the burden, the same way that many men are. Now, on the flip side, I do believe that a lot of men are growing past that. And I do think that there's always been some men that are just a little bit more verbose like me, right? That have just kind of grown up and just understand, like, we're communicators. And so for people that are communicators, I don't think that we suffer from it the same way that some may, But again, though, I always look at things like it's a balance, because sometimes those men that may not be very good at sharing emotions are also, typically the strong pillar types that are supportive in other significant ways. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes, like, yeah, maybe they aren't the shoulder to cry on, but they the ones that you reach out to when you about to lose the house and you need somebody. What was you had me watching the other day? A Best Man Holiday or whatever. My man trying to pack it in and shit, and then Terrence Howard's character was just like, man, you need some money, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, in that moment, that nigga didn't need a shoulder to cry on. He needed somebody to write him a check for 50 to 100 grand that was like, I got you. You're not going to lose your house or whatever. And sometimes you need that more than you do somebody to sit up and drink wine and, right, man, bro, man, like, oh, I'm going to pray with you. I'm going to come over there and cry with you. No. And not to say that that's not good, but, they say, nigga, don't pray for me. Give me a sandwich. If I say I'm starving, don't pray for me to eat. Nigga, go give me a sandwich, right? Like, so in that regard, and so I say that just to say that we have to be sometimes cautious when we create this scale that says being this way is better than being this way, because it's all circumstantial, right? Like, it depends on what it is that you're experiencing and what it is that you need in that moment, right? Because in that moment, if what you need is somebody to pull up and swing with you. I don't need a nigga to be crying and calling the cops. I need the nigga to say, oh wait, they doing what? Bro, I'm gonna be there in 15 minutes, man. Stay inside. Like sometimes I need a nigga to have that kind of energy more so than the, oh man, so how are you feeling? Wait a minute. So they outside with how many guns? Okay, so are you scared? You know what I'm saying? Like,
ain't nobody saying that.
Shit, everybody got time for that, man. You better make it happen.
So, I mean, okay, so staying in that vein, what would you say is, because they talk about like men being incredibly lonely right now, despite the trolls and how machismo and your body, my choice energy you can find online right now. Men are lonely.
Yeah.
And what would you say is something that they should probably unlearn about relationships, whether it's friendships or romantic, that could help improve things?
You know, man, this is a like a layered topic, because I think it's a couple of different things that's happening right now, and I think what's most difficult about this, and everybody, we're in a day and age where, so okay, let's go astrological. We're in what's known as the age of Aquarius, right? So if you know anything about the sign and you know anything about what it means to be an Aquarian, is they are they're forward thinking. They can be a little stubborn, right? But intellectually, they are like, it's very futuristic. They're about breaking boundaries. It's about non-conformity, right? So that is the age period that we are in. And it's not going anywhere. This ain't some shit that's going to go away in a couple of years. Like, we will die in the next 3 generations, will be deeply inside of the age of Aquarius. So that's why you see the rise of AI and technology and social media. Like, all of this stuff is a byproduct of a world that is coming much smaller because of the fact that technology is connecting us in ways that it never has before. As a result of this, things are changing, right? That's what happens when we talk about the genders, right? Like this gender thing isn't like some liberal fantasy that it's just like, oh, well, that's the problem with everything. It's like, no, you guys, this is what's known as progress, and it's not going anywhere, right? So I'm sorry to tell everybody that regardless of who you voted for, if someone wants to identify as they, they're still going to identify as they, right? You don't have to call them that. It's okay. It's okay that you don't agree with how they feel about themselves, but that's how they feel about themselves. And it's not a byproduct of who was in office, right? This is what's known as progress. And we're not going to go back, right? Just because you don't like it don't mean that we're going to go back. Just because you don't like it don't mean that all of a sudden people are going to stop being gay because Trump is in office. It's just not going to happen. So what do I mean by this? When things start to progress, you've got some people that are having a hard time trying to figure out where they stand in it all, right? And as a man, it used to be very easy to identify what defined us, right? We were providers, we were protectors, right? Point blank period. We didn't need anything else, right? As long as you had those 2 check marks, you could consider yourself a man, right? Well, now women have the ability to provide for themselves financially, right? They have the ability to even protect themselves, whether they are engaging in martial arts class, buying guns on their own, or just calling the damn cops, right? Like, they don't need you to protect them from bears and lions and werewolves and shit, right? Like, they just don't need you in that regard. However, you still have value, but you need more than just 2 check marks now, right? So you can't just rely on providing and protecting 2 things that they can already do on their own. So now what we got to figure out is who am I, right? And how do I add value to a significant other? So that means that sometimes we may have to evolve. It's time for us to evolve. I always say about this, everybody on some level needs to learn how to update your software, right? A lot of men are walking around with BlackBerries, okay? And we are now on what? The iPhone 16, or whatever Android is at right now, right? Like, and many of you guys are still walking around, not even with BlackBerry. Some of y'all that went back to the Motorola flips. Okay. That's what you sound like in 2025, still with some of this outdated nonsense and an almost refusal to evolve, right? It's almost like saying, because you like the way that vinyl sounds, you think we need to get rid of streaming. We're not going back. We'll never go back to vinyl. You can go buy some vinyl if you just like the classic sounds and shit, right? But as a society, we have already moved forward. Technology has already dictated that this is the new way. So you either adjust and accommodate, or you become a relic, right? And you got a lot of 24-year-old relics that are fawning for a yesteryear that they've never even experienced, because since you've been born, women have been earning and they've been protecting and providing for themselves, right? So it's like, it's time for men to level up, because just being a man and just being tough ain't enough no more. And it's hard to accept, right? Because what it means is you're going to have to get your shit together, and you're going to have to work a little harder, right? You're going to have to develop some other qualities that make you attractive to the opposite sex. You see what I'm saying? That allow you to be able to connect. And so even when we talk about like the emotional exchange and stuff, a lot of people, you beta. No, it's not beta, dog. It's called evolution. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that we do today. Shit, back in the day, niggas didn't have to wipe their ass because we was out with spears and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything. You'll call me beta. You say you an alpha, and nigga, your hands are manicured. You get pedicures. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go and go to spas and do all kinds. You know what I mean? Like, it's so ridiculous to hear this as if you a lumberjack with a flannel on chopping down trees and shit. Like, no, dog, you just want to still be the same dude that's like groping on women, and you know what I mean? Like alpha should not equate to being misogynist, to being a dick. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, nah, you know what I'm saying? And so what ends up happening is, and this is also nothing that's not to go on this tangent, but we're also, a lot of people, and sometimes I take personal accountability for this, because it's not just me. It's a lot of cats that knew the way, were successful with the ladies, good with talking with them, did good on their own, and we didn't go and look after the little homies and kind of teach them game, right? Because, you know, back in the day, it was always competitive. So it was like, look, either you got women or you didn't. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, sometimes in your own selfish pursuit, you know, you using your skills to get what you can get, and nobody was really looking after those that didn't know and desired the information and desired the access. So what ended up happening was, in that void, a lot of people who didn't know, they started following the wrong types of dudes, right? And so the dudes that's doing the most talking, the dudes that's educating all of these people now, they was the dudes that was lame to begin with. They was the dudes that never got no ass back in high school. And now, because you're on social media, you're the king of all the lames. And so now you got a lot of people that are following like misguided thinking. And just because you get a lot of likes and shares, it's like they've convinced you that somehow this is the way to be. And it's like, nah, it's not. So I say this to say there's a lot of people that are lost right now. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot, like back in the day, if you wanted to get girls and you couldn't, you would go to the coolest guy in the class or whatever, and you would either try to model yourself after them, or you would ask for some advice. You know what I'm saying? You would humble yourself so that you can get the information and you could be more appealing, right? And now we're in this day and age where it's like, now you got a lot of people, it's like they're pushing back against that, convincing you somehow that it's fly. And here's the deal. It'd be one thing if you push back and then all of a sudden these lame dudes started getting chicks. No, they're still lonely, right? So it's like, now you're lonely and angry. And that's what we're starting to notice that's happening. A lot of people, because they are still following these same characters. You know, you follow the Andrew Tate type or whatever, right? Because what he's saying sounds good and it looked like he got all the chicks. But you doing the same thing that he's doing is not going to generate the same kind of results for you, right? So you just got a lot of people, man, that's following lame dudes that really don't know better out here. And because you know, what do they say? Those who can't teach, right? So then the dudes that was actually out here winning, they too busy winning. So they ain't got time to be teaching you how to come up or whatever. So that's what's created this space. And I feel like that is part of what has misled a lot of men, and people aren't giving them honest to God information, right? Like, and really, this is just with society. People don't want to know the truth. They want to hear something that's simple, and they want to look for somebody else to blame, to say that this is the reason of why I'm not winning. But if I ask you, how much work are you really putting on yourself? Like, are you in the gym? Are you working on your money? Are you focused? You know what I'm saying? Or do you just spend all your time online trolling women, right? Like, so of course, like if you engage in negativity and you engage in that type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? That's going to become who you are. And on top of being angry, you're going to also be lonely, right? So I think it's more of that, right? Like I feel like that is what has led to what we can sense right now, you know what I'm saying? But the solution is going to be that people are going to have to evolve, man. They're going to have to, and you know, evolving don't mean, you know, that you got to be some dude that, you know, is just out here like, I don't even want to start creating something that's going to make me seem real ridiculous, right? But this isn't a situation to just be like, you got to lose all your masculinity, right? Because this is not an anti, this ain't an anti-masculine conversation. You know what I'm saying? People be confusing masculinity with, like I said, just
misogyny or machismo.
Oh, not even machismo, man. Like, it's like, you know, misogyny is such an overused, complicated word that sometimes I feel like they'll throw that word in there when it really is just a guy. Like, for instance, like with the topic we were just talking about, you know, if a man isn't being super emotional towards his male friend and that's just not really his thing, sometimes it's almost feel like men are being attacked for being men, right? And if that's not necessarily that man's vibration, he shouldn't be forced to become something that he's not in that regard, right? But I do think the flip is we all need to constantly be searching for in what ways can we evolve, right? And if you are unhappy, that is a clear indication that something with you is outdated. If you are unhappy, then that means that there is some internal work that needs to be done that you are neglecting doing, point blank, period, right? That means that whoever it is that you're following, if you are waking up angry and you are not winning, that means that whoever it is that you are following is misleading you, and it's time for you to change and try something else. Because literally the what do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing and expecting different results, right? So if you're following the same people and you still wake up every day angry, you still ain't winning, you still ain't getting no bitches, okay?
Inappropriate.
I know, but you know, like with some of the reels that I be watching, they be cracking me up. Man, I saw this one the other day that was hilarious, where this dude was like, he was naming all of this stuff. He was like, just all of the stuff that happens in this world. Did I send it to you? And he was naming all of the stuff like Beyonce made a country album and got attacked. We were told that Trump was neck and neck and he won by a landslide. Aliens have been spotted. He's just going through all the stuff. And then he goes, and you still ain't got no bitches. And then he playing that, and they play that soft music. Only you. He's like, you still ain't got no bitches. No. I thought it was hilarious. I was like, yo, this is classic content. But no, man, no, straight up, man. Like if your desire is to get with someone, man, like, man, you really gotta start looking at working on yourself, man. And blaming women and being angry and believing that all women are one way. It's like, dude, this world is way too broad. There's too many different type of people out here. There is some happiness that you can find, but you have to take ownership of whether or not you're doing everything in your power to put yourself in a position to be the best version of yourself, right? And if the best version of yourself is not you being angry and attacking and trolling people all day, man, then yo, like that's there's some development that you're gonna have to do, right? So that's my rant,
And I know you could go on, because there are plenty of people who are lonely for different reasons, and certain things that men should unlearn probably go outside of that. There's plenty of people not following those type of guys. Sometimes there's men who feel like they're the nice guy, but they can't seem to win, and they don't follow those kinds of dudes. And so I know that this is probably to be continued, because we could unpack
it. But like I said, you have to always pay attention to what it is that you're consuming, right? So in some it's like we're all like these equations, and we all are trying to figure out which variables we need to tweak. You see what I'm saying? So if you are the one that's trying to be super nice. Now, and here's the deal. When people say that nice guys don't win, that's also some bullshit, right? Because it's like, when you say nice guys don't win, is nice a tactic, or is it just who you are? You feel what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of, trust me, there's a lot of some smooth ass brothers out here that are nice, that's winning, that's getting it thrown at them. Okay, so the being nice ain't the reason why they not winning. You know what I'm saying? Right. Or why they are winning. It's that just happens to be who they are, right? Like if you're a person of like moral character and you're like a good dude,
like The Rock, it strikes me as a nice person,
right? You know what I'm saying? Now, admittedly, there are some techniques to the game sometimes, right? That sometimes, and I think that's what you're speaking about a little bit, like that. Sometimes you may need, and that's what I was saying, like, and that's why it's important that people find the right role model, right? Someone who is getting the kind of results that you're looking for, but that is also a genuine dude that's not just trying to sell you some bullshit. Because I do think that there's a lot of people that do that's like, oh yeah, like I said, like the Andrew Tates, right? He's saying stuff that feels good, but it's like, okay, the dude is also rich as hell. So like, let's be clear. If you got a shit ton of money, then you can bag the same type of chicks that Andrew Tate is pulling, right? So if that's all you want is to bag that type of a chick, then the answer is simple. Get your money up. Get your money up, and those type of chicks are going to be available to you. Now, what you're looking for is someone that you can actually build with, someone that you actually love, someone that you actually can grow with. That's going to take a different type of internal work that you got to go through. And that shit's not always comfortable. You see what I'm saying? And that's not about the tactics. That's about character. Building character takes time, right?
All right, listen, you preaching to the choir here, but I appreciate that word. Okay, we're gonna end on this one. I got one last question.
Okay,
it's quick. What's one holiday tradition that I brought to our relationship?
Oh, here you go.
That you secretly look forward to?
You want me to say that on camera? No, I'm
that was silly.
But you said a tradition?
Something that I do every year that you low-key look forward to, but you and I can name a few things. You pretend like you're kicking and screaming and you hate it, but you low-key really enjoy it.
Well, I mean, okay, so I don't know if I'll go as far as to say
you don't kick and scream for anything. I'm just
but I don't know if I say that this is a tradition, but it is a part of who you are. You are the planner. That you, and I do push back against that sometimes, because I don't like to look too far ahead in the future, because I'm right now. I'm in the present. I'm doing the things that needs to get done here. So I try not to think.
This is that why we work, because
out in the ain't nobody got time to be thinking. Sometimes niggas be asking me like, man, what you doing on it? And then should be like in the following month, like, bro, I don't know. Hopefully still alive.
I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow.
I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. Right. Shit, let me look. But I do appreciate the fact that you will plan things out and forecast and put stuff on my calendar. Sometimes we doing that shit, and I'm like, Casey, I don't be looking at this damn calendar often like that. I'm like, Casey, what is the so and so? And he like, we talked about it, like, okay,
we did.
Whatever. I'm 2025. I'm be studying that calendar. So when you throw a little slick shit on there, I'm gonna know it.
Slick shit.
Well, I'm just saying, because I think you be throwing shit up sometimes 24, 48 hours,
so I can
knowing that I
away.
didn't see it. But not even just that, like that.
You had spoke about my nail appointment.
But I mean, you'll do that sometimes when I just be sitting on there, and I'm like, you can't just put it on the calendar like this is a business or something. Like I wake up every day. Good and well, my gig ain't like that. Like, people that got them kind of jobs where like they whole calendars got all them colors and shit.
That's
right. My calendar is more creative, right? I'm creative. So, I know the things that's got to get done, but it's blocks, right? It's not like I got 6 things that's got to happen in this day. Shit, I'm like, I need an assistant for this relationship, but he on board.
But just planning.
But or not even just the holiday, like the trips and stuff, like the excursion type stuff that because there are sometimes, man, when you're doing that, it does take some foresight, right, and some vision. I can get so locked into the moment that it can be exhausting to think about a vacation 6 months from now or 3 months from now. But then when we're on it, I'm like, damn, like
really glad we did this.
Yeah, really glad we get this. This I always show up with the good time. Like that's so I play my part.
Right. That is a fact.
Yeah.
Well, no, I actually enjoy that portion of the planning. Is this the last show before the new year?
No. I think on on New Year's Eve.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll see if you're coming back for that. Because we have a party that night, unless we record in advance.
Oh no. Yeah. Oh no, it'll totally be an advance thing again. I told y'all I'm pulling up every week. Okay. So tell your mama, tell your friends. Okay. Matter of fact, do that. Okay. Matter of fact, do
Call
that.
To action.
Let people know about the script, right? Like, we growing with this thing. If you got topics that you want me to discuss, let me know. If you want to be featured on the script, right? I love having conversations with people. Okay. Dr. Love is supposed to become, man, I'm telling you, it's been so hard getting a hold of this dude, man. But he sends his well wishes. I think he's on some island right now. Maybe I can get him to record a message for next week. I mean, we'll see.
Something for the new year to kind of
just kind of put it out there.
Fresh perspective.
I agree. Yeah. But while I got you all's attention, got to tell y'all about these T3Ts, okay? So if you didn't know, now you know, okay? T3Ts available at thetequilatales.com. I will be certain to put that in the chat, right? So that you all can go ahead and click on it when this goes live. You
will not receive them in time for Christmas. That much I can guarantee.
Right. No, it ain't coming from Amazon, okay? But it's high quality though.
It is high quality.
It is high quality. I look, I ain't even really making much of a profit on it. The quality is so good because I care about the quality, okay? I care about the quality. So if you want to hear none of that nonsense, then also I want you all to join the inner circle. This is also important, and you can find this on our website as well. I'm gonna go ahead and post a link about the inner circle, and pretty much what that is 2025. We already know the first 5 cities that we're going to. I'm not announcing them just yet because I actually like when I see that people sign up for the inner circle because it lets us know like what state they're in. And then it lets us know like where the demand is, right? Like one of the things that we've been told, and sometimes you can kind of complicate things on your own because in your mind you may have like this grandiose vision, but sometimes it really is about getting it done. And one of the things that I've really appreciated about this platform and just what we've been doing the past really 11 years, but really honed in on these past 2 years is having these kind of conversations in these rooms. I've been getting so much feedback from the people that are in the rooms experiencing them. And they just let me know the value that they have, like not only in being able to like share openly, but then actually being able to hear the unfiltered thoughts from people, right? I know that sometimes when we put the content out online, it maybe just be an isolated comment, right? A reel, a slight excerpt from a much broader conversation that has a lot of value, and you all know how it is when you've ever participated in just some good community style conversation that hits on so many different, layers of being playful to poignant to funny to thought provoking. And sometimes we've had people that hook up, right? We've had a few people that have gotten married as a result of coming to these discussions and having just an in-depth opportunity to be able to share like how they feel about, a wide myriad of topics. And so as much as I love having them here in Arizona, and we will continue to do so, we're going to take this show on the road, right? And so, we're going to be popping up in a couple of different cities, some large, some smaller, that will surprise people, right? So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Right. So definitely what you want to do is join the inner circle. And like I said, we're not inundating you with text messages. You're actually only going to receive the text message as like information that we are coming to your city, right? So you ain't got to worry about me just blowing your shit up, letting you know about a whole bunch of events that
in Phoenix,
right, that you can attend. You in Washington and you seeing about something in Charlotte or something. Like, no, that's not going to happen, right? But it does let us know where the people are, right? And so that becomes important. Yeah. So anything else?
Yes. So one of my favorite things about sharing space with Isaac Paul is our one-on-one conversations.
Oh.
And so I feel like you should spread that love to others. And so if they wanted to have a one-on-one conversation with you, how would they do it?
That is actually good.
Where would they go to find it? Are they allowed? Like, what kind of stuff can they talk to you about? I feel like you're not letting the people know.
Well, that's actually good. I probably should post that link. For those of you guys that
Merry Christmas.
Right. So, for the past couple of months, I have made myself available for individuals that did want to have one-on-one sessions. There are some specialty areas, whether it be creative ideation. Sometimes there's just like emotional conversations that you want to have. Like, or if you go to our website on the Tequila Tales, there is a link that says Feel Like Talking, right? And Feel Like Talking will kind of break down all the different services that I provide. And yeah, the feedback has been great so far. But really what it is, and even if you're curious, if you just kind of know, or you feel like, I kind of got a feeling like he might have some insight on something that's important. There is one that you can select, and it could just be like, it's a brief consultation. And what that does is give us an opportunity to be able to establish whether or not, the things that you are experiencing, if it's an area that I feel confident with being able to assist you in. So yeah, definitely, if you are interested, that's on the tequilatales.com also. And it is under the Feel Like Talking tab. And like I said, it'll break everything down. So yes.
Last thing for Phoenicians, are you comfortable announcing the new cadence?
Yep. Every third Thursday is when we're having the Tequila Tales from now on here in Phoenix. So a lot of times people will want to know like well in advance, like, oh man, when's the date gonna be? And you know what we said, let's just go ahead and make it easy. Like we always do it on Thursday anyway. We normally shoot for kind of like the middle of the month. And we was like, let's just keep it simple. Third Thursdays, right? So instead of T3, we T5 now. The Tequila Tales is on third Thursdays.
I like
Bam.
It. You need a handshake. We'll come up with something.
Yeah. But it's kind of like how LeBron and them be doing this shit.
Right. It's like a full dance number.
Right. So yeah. So anything else? Yeah. Without question, man. Listen,
that was all the housekeeping I had.
I appreciate that. And yeah, you guys, like I said, this is going to be an exciting year, man. But one thing that I do want to say before I leave is just letting everybody know how much it is a pleasure and a gift to be able to show up and to be able to connect. As much as I can be focused on like the growth and like some of the mechanics, this really has been a blessing, you know, and it's always a blessing to be able to kind of show up and do the thing that you think is tap directly into your calling. And so if you have been watching and you've been enjoying it, or it has added value, just know that it does the same for me as well. And so I appreciate you. I love you guys. And until the next time, which will be next week, because like I told y'all, pulling.